exposing the 10 everyday groceries disappearing before 2026. Some of these will truly shock you. I'm Sean, and today, we're diving into a story that's quietly unfolding in every neighborhood, but barely making headlines. If you think your favorite pantry staples are safe, think again. Because, by the end of this video, you'll know which surprising items could vanish from your local store shelves before you even realize it. Picture your local grocery store. Familiar, reliable, a place you visit every week, maybe even every day. It's where you expect to find everything you need, from fresh produce to pantry staples, all lined up and ready for you to grab. For decades, we've taken this abundance for granted, trusting that the supply chain would always deliver. But lately, something's off. You might have noticed it yourself. Shelves that used to be full now have gaps, and certain products seem to disappear for days or even weeks. Across the US, everyday grocery items are quietly vanishing from shelves. No warnings, no rationing signs, just empty spaces that leave you wondering what's going on. It's not just a one-off event, but a pattern that's becoming more frequent and widespread. This isn't about headline shortages like eggs or milk that make the news. It's the basic staples you rely on daily. Things like bread, rice, canned goods, and even simple snacks, slipping away unnoticed. These are the items that form the backbone of your meals, the things you count on to always be there. When these basics start to disappear, it signals deeper issues within our food system. Why is this happening? The answer isn't simple. It's a tangled web of global issues: factory shutdowns that halt production, extreme weather events that disrupt harvests, rising costs that make it harder for stores to stock up, and export bans that limit what comes into the country. Each of these factors alone would be challenging, but together, they're creating a ripple effect that's being felt in every aisle. Let's break down these factors a bit more. Factory shutdowns, for example, can be triggered by anything from labor shortages to health crises or even cyber attacks. When a major food processing plant goes offline, it can take weeks or months for production to recover. Extreme weather, think droughts, floods, hurricanes, can wipe out entire harvests, leaving farmers and suppliers scrambling. Rising costs, from fuel to packaging, force companies to cut back on production or pass those costs on to consumers, making some products too expensive to keep in stock. And export bans, often enacted by countries trying to protect their own food security, can suddenly choke off supplies of key ingredients. It's a perfect storm, and it's already here. The changes are subtle at first: a missing brand, a delayed restock, but they add up quickly. Before you know it, your usual shopping routine is disrupted and you're left searching for alternatives. For example, you might find that your favorite brand of pasta is gone, replaced by a more expensive or unfamiliar option. Or maybe the canned beans you rely on for quick meals are suddenly nowhere to be found. Let's look at some real numbers. According to the Consumer Brands Association, out-of-stock rates for grocery items have hovered around 10% since 2022, double the pre-pandemic average. Staples like rice and pasta have seen shortages in over 30% of stores in some regions. Canned vegetables and beans, once considered pantry basics, are now among the top items missing from shelves, with some brands reporting production cuts of up to 20% due to supply chain disruptions. These numbers aren't just statistics, they represent real families struggling to find the foods they need. Take wheat, for example. Droughts in major wheat-producing countries like the US, Canada, and Ukraine have led to a 15% drop in global wheat output since 2021. That means less flour for bread, pasta, and baked goods. Meanwhile, export bans from countries like India and Russia have further squeezed global supplies, driving up prices and making it harder for US stores to keep shelves stocked. The ripple effect is enormous. Bakeries may have to raise prices or cut back on offerings, and families may have to switch to less familiar grains. Rice is another example. In 2023, India, the world's largest rice exporter, restricted exports to protect its own food security. This move sent shockwaves through global markets, causing rice prices to hit a 15-year high and leaving US importers scrambling. As a result, many stores have struggled to keep rice in stock, and prices have jumped by more than 20% in some areas. For families who rely on rice as a staple, this means stretching budgets even further or turning to less preferred alternatives. The impact goes beyond just inconvenience. Rising prices and limited availability mean families are forced to make tough choices, switching brands, buying less, or going without. For low-income households, these shortages can mean skipping meals or relying on less nutritious options. And for small businesses, like local bakeries or restaurants, the lack of key ingredients can threaten their survival. Imagine a bakery that can't get flour or a restaurant that can't source affordable cooking oil. These shortages can force closures and job losses, rippling through entire communities. And it's not just about food. The unseen emptying extends to household essentials like cleaning supplies, paper products, and even pet food. When these items become scarce, it disrupts daily routines and adds stress to already stretched households. For example, during the early days of the pandemic, we saw how quickly toilet paper and disinfectants could disappear. Now similar patterns are emerging with other everyday products, often with little warning. Today we'll reveal 10 everyday items facing real immediate shortages. These aren't luxury goods or specialty products. They're the things you use and eat every day, the essentials that keep your household running smoothly. We'll explore the stories behind these shortages, from the fields where crops are grown to the factories where products are made, and the long, complex journey they take to reach your local store. We'll break down why they're disappearing, what's causing these shortages, and most importantly, what you can do to adapt. Whether it's finding substitutes, shopping smarter, or planning ahead, there are steps you can take to stay prepared and keep your family well stocked. We'll also share tips from experts and real shoppers who have found creative ways to cope with these new challenges. The goal isn't panic, it's preparation. By understanding what's happening and why, you can make informed choices and avoid being caught off guard. The unseen emptying is a wake-up call, a reminder that our food system is more fragile than it appears, and that a little knowledge and planning can go a long way. So let's get started and take a closer look at what's really going on behind those empty shelves. The more we know, the better prepared we'll be for whatever comes next. And trust me, some of the items on this list will surprise you. As we move from the introduction, let's dive into the first major item on our list: coffee. For millions, coffee is more than a beverage. It's a daily ritual, a source of comfort, and the essential fuel that powers our mornings. Whether you're brewing a single cup at sunrise or sharing a pot with friends, coffee is deeply woven into our routines. But what if this daily comfort was suddenly at risk, not just from rising prices but from the real possibility of coffee vanishing from store shelves? And it's not just any coffee at stake, it's the premium beans from renowned regions like Ethiopia and Colombia. These aren't your standard supermarket blends. They're the rich, aromatic beans that elevate your morning, the ones you anticipate as soon as you wake up. These specialty beans are the product of generations of expertise, unique climates, and careful cultivation. Their distinct flavors depend on altitude, soil, and weather, factors now under serious threat. The challenge? Climate chaos is battering the world's top coffee regions. Droughts scorch fields, floods destroy crops, and unpredictable weather makes it harder for farmers to grow those high-quality beans. The result is long-term damage to harvests and a shrinking supply of the beans we love. In Brazil, a single season of drought can wipe out entire harvests. In Central America, erratic rainfall and rising temperatures are forcing coffee farms to move higher up the mountains, where land is limited and costly. On top of that, labor shortages are making it even harder to get coffee from farm to cup. Fewer workers mean slower harvests, delays at processing plants, and bottlenecks in shipping. The entire supply chain is tightening, and it's happening fast. In many coffee-producing countries, younger generations are leaving rural areas for cities, leaving fewer hands to tend the crops. The COVID-19 pandemic only made things worse, disrupting seasonal migration and reducing available labor even further. The first to disappear? Specialty beans. As supplies dwindle, those unique, flavorful coffees are the first to vanish from store shelves. In their place, generic blends will fill the gap, but let's be honest, the taste just isn't the same. The quality drops, and your morning cup loses its magic. For small coffee roasters and independent cafes, this means higher costs and fewer options, threatening their very survival. Soon, you'll notice your favorite brands missing, then, fewer options to choose from, and as scarcity grows, prices will climb higher and higher. What was once a simple pleasure could become a luxury, or even a rare find. In some cities, coffee prices have already doubled in the past year, and experts predict further increases as global inventories dwindle. This isn't about panic, buying, or hoarding. It's about protecting the small rituals that keep us grounded, like that first sip of coffee in the morning. When everything else feels uncertain, these moments matter more than ever. For many, coffee is more than a beverage. It's a moment of peace, a way to connect with loved ones, or a cherished part of daily self-care. So here's my advice. Next time you're at the store, grab an extra bag or two of your favorite whole beans. It's a simple step, but it can make a big difference. You'll have a backup supply, just in case things get tight. And if you can, support local roasters and fair trade brands. They're often more transparent about sourcing and more committed to sustainability. Store your beans properly, in airtight containers away from light and heat, and they'll stay fresh for months. That way, you can keep enjoying great coffee even if the shelves go bare for a while. Some experts recommend freezing beans for long-term storage, but always use airtight packaging to prevent moisture and flavor loss. A small backup means your mornings stay normal, your routine stays intact, and you don't have to scramble if shortages hit. Don't panic, just plan ahead, and you'll be ready for whatever comes. This kind of preparation isn't just about convenience, it's about resilience in the face of global uncertainty. But this isn't just speculation. In 2023, major news outlets like Reuters and the Wall Street Journal reported that coffee prices hit their highest levels in over a decade, driven by severe droughts in Brazil, the world's largest coffee producer. According to the International Coffee Organization, global coffee inventories have dropped to their lowest point in years, and experts warn that these shortages could last well into 2026. The ripple effects are global, from smallholder farmers in Africa struggling to make ends meet, to coffee shop owners in Europe and North America facing supply gaps and rising costs. Experts like Dr. Jennifer Smith, an agricultural economist at the University of California, have pointed out that climate change is accelerating the frequency of crop failures, not just for coffee, but for many daily staples. She notes, "We're seeing a perfect storm of weather extremes, labor shortages, and supply chain disruptions that threaten the availability of everyday grocery items." The impact is felt at every level, from the farm to your kitchen table. And it's not just coffee. In recent months, shoppers across the US and Europe have reported empty shelves for everything from eggs to fresh produce. A 2024 case study from the National Grocers Association found that 68% of independent grocers experienced significant shortages in at least 5 staple categories, with coffee consistently ranking among the top 3 hardest-hit items. This means that the daily grind disruption is part of a much larger pattern, one that could reshape how we shop, eat, and live. The real-world impacts are already being felt. Coffee farmers are being forced to switch crops or abandon their land altogether, threatening the livelihoods of millions. In urban areas, independent coffee shops are closing or raising prices, and consumers are left with fewer choices and higher bills. Even large chains like Starbucks have warned of potential supply disruptions and price hikes. The disruption of the daily grind is a wake-up call. It's a reminder of how interconnected our world is, and how vulnerable even our most cherished routines can be. By understanding the causes and impacts, we can make smarter choices, supporting sustainable farming, reducing waste, and preparing for the unexpected. So, while it might feel like a distant problem, the reality is that daily grocery shortages are already here, and they're affecting more than just your morning cup. Staying informed, planning ahead, and supporting sustainable brands can help you weather these disruptions and keep your daily rituals alive. Protect your sanity, one cup at a time, because sometimes it's the little things, like a perfect cup of coffee, that help us weather the biggest storms. Building on the challenges we've already discussed, let's turn to rice, especially jasmine and basmati, but also brown rice, wild rice, and specialty grains like farro and quinoa. These grains are staples in kitchens around the globe, but now they're facing a series of threats that could make them harder to find and more expensive in the near future. Export bans from major producers like India, responsible for over 40% of the world's rice exports, have sent shockwaves through the global market. In 2023, India restricted exports of non-basmati white rice, causing prices to surge by more than 20% in just a few months. Meanwhile, climate disasters such as severe flooding in Pakistan and droughts in Southeast Asia have devastated harvests. With some regions reporting crop losses of up to 30%, these disruptions have triggered a domino effect. Global rice prices hit a 15-year high in 2023, and the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization warned that the world's rice stocks could fall to their lowest levels since 2017. As less rice and other grains are grown and exported, prices are spiking across the board, and shortages are becoming more common in stores worldwide. For everyday shoppers, this means that the big bag of basmati, or even your favorite brown or wild rice, may soon be gone or cost double. In some regions, rice prices have jumped by as much as 50%, leaving families frustrated and scrambling for alternatives. Rice and other grains are shelf-stable and versatile, making them ideal pantry reserves as uncertainty grows. Stocking up on grains now can help buffer your household against future price hikes and shortages. There's no need to panic buy, but having an extra bag or two of your favorite grains in sealed containers is a smart move. Proper storage can keep rice fresh for years, and rotating your stock ensures nothing goes to waste. Exploring different grains can also diversify your meals and introduce new flavors to your table. From quinoa salads to farro risottos, there are plenty of delicious ways to adapt if your usual rice is in short supply. Don't wait for empty shelves or social media panic. Secure your staple grains now, before the next wave of shortages hits. With global grain reserves tightening and climate change adding more uncertainty each year, a little preparation today can go a long way toward keeping your pantry and your family secure. Experts warn that unless global production rebounds and supply chains stabilize, the grain drain could worsen in the coming years. By 2026, the world could face a deficit of millions of tons of rice and other grains, putting additional pressure on food prices and availability worldwide. As we move from the broader picture of disappearing grocery staples, let's zero in on one of the most beloved and threatened ingredients, vanilla extract. This humble bottle is the secret behind so many cherished desserts, infusing everything from cookies to cakes with warmth and that signature aroma. But the story behind vanilla extract is far more complex than most realize, and it's a perfect example of the global forces putting our favorite foods at risk. Madagascar, the source of over 80% of the world's vanilla, sits at the heart of this crisis. Here, farmers face relentless challenges, devastating cyclones, unpredictable floods, and the mounting pressures of climate change. Each year, storms grow more intense, sometimes wiping out entire harvests and leaving the global vanilla supply in jeopardy. But weather isn't the only threat. Economic instability, shifting government policies, and limited infrastructure in Madagascar make it even harder for farmers to recover or export their crops. Corruption and market speculation add more uncertainty, while a major fire at a U.S. vanilla reserve recently destroyed vital stockpiles. Meanwhile, demand for real vanilla continues to climb as more people seek out natural flavors. The result? A fragile supply chain with shortages and price spikes felt around the world. If you've noticed smaller bottles and higher prices at your local store, you're not alone. Vanilla extract has become a luxury item, with shelves often empty and prices reaching record highs. For bakers everywhere, these shortages are impossible to ignore. The silver lining? Pure vanilla extract actually gets better with age. If you store it properly, it can last for years, developing even deeper flavors, making every bottle a true investment for your kitchen. So, if you spot vanilla extract at a reasonable price, don't hesitate. Pick up an extra bottle or two. It's a simple way to protect your favorite recipes and avoid last-minute baking emergencies. With prices only expected to rise, stocking up now is a smart move for any baker. It's a small investment that can save you money, time, and stress in the long run. Don't let your baking plans fall apart because you're out of this essential ingredient. There's nothing worse than realizing you're missing vanilla just as you're about to start mixing. Stock up now, and your future cookies, cakes, and treats will thank you. You'll be ready for any baking adventure, no matter what happens to the global supply. In a world where grocery staples are disappearing, vanilla truly stands out as a treasure. Make sure your pantry is never without it, and you'll be prepared for whatever comes next. Cooking oil, sunflower, canola, olive, has long been a kitchen essential, but it's not the only staple slipping from shelves. This isn't the first time we've seen such shortages. Back in the 1970s, the oil crisis didn't just affect gas stations, it sent shockwaves through food supply chains, leading to panic buying and empty grocery aisles worldwide. Today, the war in Ukraine, droughts in Canada, and Mediterranean heat waves are squeezing supply. Ukraine, once the world's top sunflower oil exporter, has seen output collapse due to conflict. Canada's canola fields are suffering from relentless drought, while Spain and Italy's olive groves are scorched by record heat. Meanwhile, butter, eggs, and milk are also in short supply as global disruptions ripple through the food system. Industrial food producers and bakeries are scrambling for what's left, often swapping ingredients or changing recipes. In 2022, a major European bakery chain halted production of several pastries due to a lack of affordable butter and oil. Restaurants are rewriting menus, and food manufacturers are reformulating products to use less or different fats. Prices are climbing, shelves are patchy, and shoppers are getting creative, trying margarine, plant-based milks, or baking without eggs. According to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, global cooking oil prices have doubled since 2020, and dairy prices are at a 10-year high. You might find the oil aisle picked clean, or see limits on eggs and butter, with prices rising. Social media is full of stories from shoppers unable to find their favorite brands or shocked by the cost of a simple stick of butter. My advice, when your preferred oil, butter, or eggs are in stock or on sale, pick up an extra. Many are also turning to shelf-stable alternatives. In 2023, some families in the UK and Australia reported keeping months' worth of long-life milk and powdered eggs on hand, just in case. Store these items properly, cool, dark, or frozen, to keep them fresh longer. Oils can go rancid if exposed to heat or light, while butter and eggs last much longer when refrigerated or frozen. This isn't hoarding, it's smart, practical prep. Rotate your stock and use what you have. In fact, during the 2008 food crisis, families who practiced stock rotation and bulk buying weathered shortages with less stress and waste. Don't let a global crisis stop you from cooking dinner. Adapt, substitute, and keep meals on the table. Chefs and home cooks alike are experimenting with alternatives, like using applesauce or flaxseed in place of eggs or coconut oil instead of butter. Looking ahead, experts warn that these shortages could persist or even worsen through 2025, as climate change and geopolitical tensions continue to disrupt supply chains. Some analysts predict that as traditional growing regions become less reliable, new areas may emerge for oilseed and dairy production, but this transition could take years. In the meantime, expect more volatility at the grocery store. A backup bottle, carton, or stick keeps your kitchen running. Stay ready, not reactive. With a little planning and flexibility, you can weather this slippery situation, just as generations before us have done. Following the challenges faced by fresh produce, frozen vegetables are now under threat. Nutritious, convenient, and often better than fresh, frozen food prices surged by 18% in 2023. Brands like Bird's Eye and Green Giant are experiencing supply shortages, signaling a larger trend, reshaping the frozen food aisle. Labor shortages, soaring energy costs, and shipping delays are shrinking supply and driving up prices. Market analysts note that the cost of keeping freezers running 24/7 has skyrocketed, especially as global energy prices remain volatile. Food processing plants are struggling to find enough workers, and international shipping bottlenecks mean that even when products are available, they're not always getting to stores on time. Frozen goods need constant refrigeration, making them extra vulnerable to power outages and supply chain disruptions. When the grid falters, even briefly, entire shipments can be lost. Experts warn that as extreme weather events become more common, the risk to frozen food supplies will only increase. The impact on consumers is clear: fewer options and more empty freezer cases, especially in winter. Even popular items like DiGiorno pizzas and Eggo waffles have seen shortages. Recent consumer surveys show that over 60% of shoppers have noticed a decline in frozen food availability, with many forced to switch brands or go without their favorites. Prices are rising, too. The average cost of a frozen meal has increased by nearly a fifth in just 2 years. Solution: buy an extra bag or two of your favorites when you see them, and watch for sales to save money. Stocking up when prices dip can help buffer your budget against future spikes. Or, freeze your own local produce in season for year-round security. Home freezing can cut costs and reduce your reliance on store-bought brands. Experts recommend blanching vegetables before freezing to preserve nutrients and flavor, and investing in a vacuum sealer for longer storage. A well-stocked freezer means you're ready for anything: unexpected shortages, price hikes, or emergencies. Nutritionists point out that frozen produce often retains more vitamins than fresh items that have traveled long distances, making it a smart choice for health-conscious families. Don't rely on fragile supply chains. Even major retailers like Walmart and Kroger have reported frozen food gaps. Store managers say they're working overtime to restock shelves, but persistent disruptions mean that shortages could become the new normal. Take control of your nutrition. Plan ahead, stock up, and consider freezing your own food to weather the frozen asset crisis. With careful planning and a little extra effort, you can protect your family from the worst effects of this ongoing market shakeup. Experts predict that volatility in the frozen food market will continue through at least 2026, with prices and availability fluctuating as global conditions change. Staying informed and proactive is your best defense against the frozen asset crisis. Soup, bone broth, macaroni and cheese, fresh bread and chicken pot pie, these are classic comfort foods and pantry staples found in homes around the world. But comfort food is more than just sustenance. It's a ritual, a memory, and a source of warmth that transcends borders. From steaming bowls of ramen in Japan to hearty shepherd's pie in the UK, from matzo ball soup at a Passover table to a simple grilled cheese sandwich on a rainy day, these foods are woven into the fabric of our lives. However, rising ingredient and packaging costs, along with ongoing supply chain issues, are leading to less variety and lower inventory for these favorites. The price of wheat, dairy, and even tin for cans has soared, making it harder for companies to keep shelves stocked. Droughts, floods, and global conflicts have disrupted the flow of basic ingredients, while labor shortages and transportation delays add to the challenge. Even the cost of cardboard for packaging has spiked, forcing brands to rethink what they can afford to produce. As a result, companies are cutting flavors, shrinking recipes, and producing less, sometimes discontinuing beloved classics. You might notice your favorite chicken noodle soup tastes different, or that the mac and cheese box is a little lighter. Some brands have quietly dropped less popular varieties, focusing only on bestsellers. Others have changed recipes to use cheaper or more available ingredients, altering the taste and texture that made these foods special in the first place. When storms hit or illness strikes, shelves empty fast, and restocking is slow, leaving many without their go-to comfort foods. During the pandemic, we saw how quickly pasta, bread, and canned soup could vanish. In times of crisis, people instinctively reach for foods that soothe and sustain, but the new reality means those shelves may stay bare for days or even weeks. That's why it's wise to keep a small reserve, a few cans, a loaf of bread, or a box of mac and cheese, whatever brings you comfort. It's not about hoarding, but about having a little peace of mind. A modest stash can make all the difference when you're stuck at home, feeling under the weather, or just needing a taste of normalcy. There's no need to overbuy, just enough for emergencies or a tough day. With prices rising and supplies uncertain, being thoughtful about what you buy helps everyone. Consider trying new brands or recipes if your old favorites are missing, and remember that comfort can come in many forms. These foods aren't just about taste, they're about tradition, nostalgia, and emotional well-being. A bowl of soup can remind you of childhood, a slice of bread can evoke memories of family gatherings, and a pot pie can bring comfort on a lonely night. Across the world, comfort foods are a way to connect with our roots and with each other. The loss of comfort foods can impact our sense of security and connection, especially during stressful times. For many, these dishes are a lifeline, a way to cope with anxiety, celebrate milestones, or simply feel at home. When they disappear, it's not just a loss of flavor, but a loss of tradition and togetherness. Comfort should never be out of reach, so cherish your favorites and remember their deeper meaning in our lives. As the world changes, the foods that comfort us may become harder to find, but their significance only grows. Whether it's a simple bowl of soup or a family recipe passed down for generations, these dishes are more than just food. They're a source of hope, healing, and connection that we all need, now more than ever. As we move from the last item on our list, it's time to focus on perhaps the most vital grocery product of all, baby formula. More than just food, it's a lifeline for families, especially for infants who can't be breastfed due to medical reasons, adoption, or maternal health. The significance of infant formula goes far beyond what you see on the grocery store shelf. Before commercial formula was invented in the 19th century, families unable to breastfeed often had to rely on risky homemade mixtures, or animal milk, options that lacked essential nutrients and sometimes led to tragic outcomes. The arrival of modern formula in the early 20th century was a true breakthrough, saving countless lives and providing parents with a safe, reliable alternative. Over the years, scientific advances have improved formula's nutritional profile to more closely mimic breast milk, and specialized formulas now exist for allergies, sensitivities, and premature infants. Formula delivers the essential nutrients, vitamins, and minerals that support healthy growth and development in babies, and is sometimes the only safe option for premature or medically fragile infants. Yet, this precious commodity is also incredibly vulnerable. The supply chain for formula is fragile, dominated by a handful of manufacturers, and highly regulated to ensure safety and quality. Any disruption, whether from factory shutdowns, ingredient shortages, or recalls, can trigger nationwide shortages, with specialized and hypoallergenic formulas often hit the hardest. Recent crises, such as contamination scares and pandemic-related supply chain issues, have left shelves empty and parents scrambling, with the system still struggling to recover. Globally, formula scarcity is even more severe in developing countries and during humanitarian crises, where access can mean the difference between life and death for vulnerable infants. International aid organizations often prioritize formula distribution in disaster zones, highlighting its critical role. On top of that, rising costs of raw materials, global shipping delays, and increased demand are making formula even scarcer and more expensive. Looking ahead, the future of baby formula faces both challenges and opportunities. Scientists are working on more sustainable, plant-based and lab-grown ingredients to reduce reliance on traditional dairy and improve global access. However, climate change, geopolitical instability, and economic pressures could further strain supplies. If you rely on formula, talk to your pediatrician now about safe alternatives and what to do in case of shortages. Keep a small, rotating supply. Enough for peace of mind, not panic buying. Planning ahead is responsible parenting, not hoarding. Protect your child's nutrition and your own peace of mind. Don't wait for a crisis to act. Understand your options and stay prepared. The story of baby formula is one of innovation, resilience, and at times, scarcity. As the world changes, staying informed and proactive is the best way to safeguard the most precious commodity of all, your child's health. As we've seen with other grocery staples, nuts and nut butters, known for their nutrition and long shelf life, are now facing unprecedented challenges. Sourcing popular nuts like almonds, pistachios, and hazelnuts is getting harder every year. Droughts in California, wildfires, and floods in other regions are cutting yields and putting future harvests at risk. The result? Prices are rising quickly. You might spot smaller jars, steeper price tags, and sometimes a dip in quality as producers try to make limited supplies last. Even peanut butter, a staple for many, isn't safe. Peanut crops are threatened by drought, disease, and recent recalls, adding more uncertainty to the mix. To keep your favorites available, buy in bulk when possible, and store nuts in the freezer to keep them fresh and prevent spoilage. If prices climb too high, or your usual nuts disappear, try alternatives like sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, or tahini. They offer similar nutrition and are often easier to find. Don't let supply issues throw off your routine. Stay flexible and be ready to swap in alternatives as needed. Planning ahead helps. Stock up when you find a good deal and keep your pantry organized for easy access. Stay fueled and adaptable no matter what changes you see in the nut aisle. Behind the scenes, industry experts are working hard, improving irrigation, developing drought-resistant nut varieties, and searching for ways to stabilize production. Governments and organizations are stepping up too, funding research and supporting farmers with new policies during these tough times. New farming methods like vertical farming and hydroponics are being explored as possible solutions for the future of nut production. Supporting local farmers and joining community-supported agriculture (CSA) programs can help you get fresher products and back sustainable practices. Diversifying your diet with nut alternatives and trying new recipes can make the transition easier, and you might discover new favorites along the way. With a little flexibility and planning, you can handle these changes and keep enjoying nutritious, delicious options, just like with the other disappearing grocery items we've covered. Greek yogurt and high-protein dairy, modern staples but also the heart of many traditional dishes, are under pressure. But this is more than a story about food shortages. It's a story about culture, identity, and the invisible threads that bind communities together. Rising feed, fuel, and labor costs are squeezing the dairy industry, threatening not just products, but cultural traditions. Experts warn that these pressures are not temporary. Dr. Elena Papadopoulos, a food historian, notes that When a staple like yogurt becomes scarce, it's not just a dietary loss, it's a disruption of rituals, family gatherings, and even national identity. Niche and heritage flavors disappear first, and even popular ones become scarce, impacting family, recipes, and celebrations. The loss is felt most acutely in communities where yogurt is more than a food. It's a symbol of hospitality, health, and continuity. Shelf space shrinks, outages last longer, and communities adapt by sharing homemade alternatives. Nutritionists point out that yogurt's probiotic benefits are hard to replace, and families are forced to get creative, sometimes reviving old methods, sometimes inventing new ones. Since yogurt is perishable, long-term storage isn't an option, but some turn to home fermentation to keep traditions alive. Experts like Dr. Rajiv Singh, a food scientist, emphasize the importance of safe fermentation practices, especially as more people experiment at home. Buy an extra container or two with a long expiration date for a short-term buffer, or connect with your community for support. In some neighborhoods, community fridges and food banks have become lifelines, redistributing scarce dairy products to those in need. These small steps help preserve both food security and cultural bonds. Online communities have sprung up, sharing tips, starter cultures, and encouragement, helping to bridge the gap between scarcity and tradition. Don't get caught without your breakfast staple, or the foods that connect you to your heritage. For many, the absence of yogurt at the table is a daily reminder of broader changes, and a call to adapt while holding on to what matters most. Plan for the weeks ahead, and remember, community and tradition can help weather the shortage. As Dr. Papadopoulos reminds us, when we come together to share knowledge and resources, we do more than fill our plates, we keep our culture alive, even in times of crisis. Aluminum foil, once a kitchen staple you could always count on, is now caught in a tangle of global shortages, rising costs, and environmental concerns. What used to be cheap and plentiful is now a symbol of how quickly everyday items can become scarce. With energy prices soaring, China reducing exports, and packaging materials in short supply, the price of foil is climbing while the rolls themselves are shrinking. The entire production chain, from bauxite mining to smelting to shipping, faces pressure at every step, and when one link breaks, shoppers feel the impact right away. At the same time, environmental concerns are forcing companies and governments to rethink single-use packaging. Aluminum production is energy-hungry and wasteful, and new regulations are pushing for greener solutions. Consumers too are demanding more sustainable options, adding even more pressure for change. The industry is responding. Brands are turning to recycled materials and eco-friendly alternatives, but these innovations take time to scale and often come at a higher price. Compostable wraps, reusable silicone sheets, and better recycling are on the rise, but meeting global demand remains a huge challenge. For now, you're likely paying more for less, and one day, you might reach for foil and find it missing. It doesn't spoil, so consider picking up a few extra rolls while you can. And don't forget to try out alternatives like beeswax wraps or silicone covers. They can help you stretch your supply and cut down on waste. As we've seen throughout this video, even the most ordinary grocery items can be swept up in global trends and challenges. The humble roll of foil is just one example of how convenience, cost, and sustainability are reshaping what we find on store shelves. Stay prepared, keep an eye on these changes, and remember, how we wrap, store, and protect our food is evolving fast. And with that, let's wrap up and look at what all these disappearing items mean for your next grocery trip. We've just covered 10 essential grocery items that are facing real supply challenges. These staples, rice, pasta, canned goods, flour, oil and more, are the foundation of our kitchens, and the way we shop and store them is evolving fast. The key takeaway? Don't panic buy, but do pay attention. Gradually build up your pantry with versatile, long-lasting foods. Make small, steady changes to your shopping habits. These add up and help you stay prepared. Remember the pantry principle. Buy one for now, one for later. Keep a modest surplus of the foods your household uses most, enough for a few weeks, not months. This way, you're prepared without emptying shelves for others. Build a small buffer over time, rotate your stock, and keep everything organized and clearly labeled. This reduces waste and keeps your supplies fresh. Stay connected, share tips, recipes, and resources with your community. Join or start a food co-op, participate in food drives, and help each other stay informed and prepared. Preparation is about resilience, not fear. Involve your family in meal planning and pantry management. It saves money and builds valuable life skills. Keep your kitchen a place of comfort. Stock up slowly, stay flexible, and explore food preservation methods to extend the life of your staples. Even small steps like growing herbs or veggies at home can boost your resilience and stretch your food budget. Stay informed about food trends and supply chain risks. Adapt your pantry strategy as needed, whether that means buying in bulk, shifting to shelf-stable foods, or learning new skills. To sum up, be proactive, stay organized, and support your community. The pantry principle is about building confidence and security for your household, no matter what the future brings. What are you seeing in your local stores? Are you changing the way you shop or stock your pantry? Share your experiences and tips in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more updates on grocery trends, food security, and smart shopping strategies.